Hey, it's me, Lori from Three Keys Astrology, and I am demonstrating Scorpio tendencies. You will notice more covert behavior by Scorpio. These are our friends and family and people we don't know, strangers who love the night, live in the night, and wear black all the time. They hang back and kind of watch what's going on. So the moon's going into Scorpio on the 11th at can't see with these glasses, excuse me. This is ruining my Scorpio persona. 5:30 in the morning on the 12th. And I'm going to call this the Tale of Two Scorpios because we've got some good energy on Friday the 13th involving Scorpio and not so good energy on the 12th. And it starts around the midnight hour. So unfortunately, we're approaching the Ides of March, where I've been talking a lot about Mars and how destructive he's going to be for summer 2020. And he's going to rear his ugly head the 12th, 13th, the 14th. In some pretty bloody and devastating ways. If you're involved in a corporate struggle, these aren't going to be nice times. If you're involved in a lawsuit, not nice times. This is criminal behavior, and it's, as we speak, Greece is under siege by Turkish invasion, and the Turks, from time immemorial, have created a lot of destruction. And so, as I've said in earlier videos, we're going to see a lot of internal power struggles going on. So I'm going to go back to why I'm dressed like this and talk about Moon Scorpio. Scorpio wants revenge. And of all the signs in the zodiac, these are the most deadly, destructive, and criminal people that we have. This indicates psychopathic behavior, but it's also those evolved Scorpio that are our forensic scientists, our detectives, pathologists, psychiatrists who work with this disturbed population. And it's represents prisons. Pluto is the ruler of Scorpio, as is Mars, the ancient ruler. So these are, Scorpio has to do with everything that's underground. All the things of hell, things we can't see, sin, pathologies and health, the literal necromancy of tissue in the body. It's the elimination process, and that's what Scorpio wants, elimination. And this is a tale of two Scorpios because we're going to get to see both sides of Scorpio. So in Scorpio that's evolved and wants to help cure the problem, the criminality that is Scorpio, the dark side, the underhanded, the underworld, prostitution, sexuality, domination, control. It's an intense, the darkest, ugliest things that we know about human nature. Scorpio rules, Pluto rules, and Mars, ancient ruler, talks about the indication, internal drives that make us do these things that are perverted and dark and secretive. So it's drug addiction. It's the things that you hide, hence my dress. So we see these people all the time. We see more of them at night. They're not people who like to be up in the morning. They're not skipping through the tulips and whistling and into the sunshine. In fact, they don't like the sun. They prefer darkness. They prefer not to be seen. These are detectives. And often in psychology, there's a complex for those that like to control criminals. The other side or the shadow side of that person is criminal. So there's a duality to, you can't understand the mind of the criminal unless you have either studied and learned and gotten into that, and this is what's coming. So Mars and Pluto are currently in Capricorn. Capricorns and Scorpios are good friends. They really relate to each other. And so they're going to be partners in crime. And this is the devil made me do it kind of behavior. And these people that have Scorpio tendencies are vengeful, and they're all about elimination. And they're going to get you one way or the other for the wrongs you've committed. It's also the physical elimination of the body. It rules our sexual organs and our excretory processes. So people that have problems with constipation or hemorrhoids or diseases and pathologies of sexual organs are often people who are involved in things that are unseen and hidden and involved in some form of abusing others, controlling others, powering over others. And so this is the nature of the energy that's coming along. Now, if you're born with a Scorpio moon and a Scorpio sun and a Scorpio rising sign, less than, but still, you have a family of family secrets. There are hidden adoptions, there are crimes against women when it's Scorpio moon. There can be a very abusive father when it's Scorpio sun. There can be a father that was a drug dealer or a criminal or imprisoned, as well as, like I said, if the soul and spirit are evolved, your father could have been the psychiatrist to the prison, or a funeral director. That's also Pluto, that underground realm, digging into the dirt to put the bodies. Um, so interestingly, we have Scorpio and Taurus are opposite each other. Now, when you bring them to the middle, there's a relationship where they understand each other very well, intimately. And I do want you to remember this because I'm not trying to talk smack about a Scorpio, but this is the truth of the matter. These populations have been measured and studied, and this is the honest to God truth. When you're born into a family like this, it could be mobs and crime mobs, the corruption. And I mean, we all think that everybody lives the way we lived and grew up and lives the way we live because we think that's all we know until, age 15, 16, 17, 18, some people later. And so this moon it's going to be a dangerous time for the public at large. There's going to be a lot of ugly crime committed. Terrorist groups are going to be coming out in the dark to do their dirty deeds and maybe coming out by daylight to do their dirty deeds. And this is just the pre-show for the hell that we're going to see on the world stage summer 2020, unfortunately, that lasts till December. The good thing about Scorpio, the symbol of Scorpio kind of looks like an M, but it's got an arrow pointing up. And although Scorpio people are vindictive and dangerous and delve in those realms and will go into those places, it's that cop that's not afraid to go into the hood or, underground to see what's going on. It's those people that work with people that are raped. They're not afraid. They're empowered. And that's the arrow of Scorpio, that evolution of the soul, or someone who's been abused or has experienced this kind of oppression or hell, says, I'm going to be part of the cure. I'm going to solve this problem. I'm going to work at a crisis center. I'm going to help these women. I'm going to work as a forensic nurse. And I'm going to be that person that's there for those people that have been powered over and controlled. So this energy really comes into play on around midnight on the 12th. It's the ugly side of Scorpio. It's those people that are doing drugs. It's those people that are stealing. It is that home invasion. It is the hidden, the mask, the person who doesn't want you to see their eyes or their body. They're always lurking behind. And so we can often, even in our colleges or high schools, we can see that our like punk and alternative groups, there's this persona that's, I'm not going to let you see me. You don't get to know me. I'm hiding from you. And people that dress like this often have secrets and parts of themselves they don't want the world to see. And so it's why witchcraft and the occult is deals with this realm of darkness and black. But like I said, Scorpio has some very positive qualities too. And those people that are involved in research and forensics are people that want to solve those criminal problems, criminologists and such. Also have heavy Scorpio energy and genetic scorpionic and martial um, roots, but they want to be part of fixing the problem. Hopefully, these are the police that are doing good and not the dirty cops who represent the other side of Scorpio. So I'm taking my glasses off now because getting rid of this hat because on the 13th, we get to see Scorpio regenerated. So Scorpio, ultimately, you're born into these secretive societies or secret families or families that are abusive or families where dad or mom might be, control freaks. You're born for this experience. I mean, inevitably, unfortunately, one of the really hard parts of Scorpio is that somehow, some way, you are gonna see a lot of death. And it can happen when you're young. It can be losing friends. And it can be around this, maybe you were born into a family of funeral directors that often are generational. So, anyway, the good part is, although we've got some nasty things going on after midnight on the 12th, when Scorpio gets into on the 13th, and by the way, this moon, and okay, we've been talking about ladies. Venus and Moon are the ladies. So this is a lady dressed in black. This is a woman who's kind of bewitching, and she kind of puts a spell on you when Venus is in Scorpio. She's alluring and charming, but in a dark way. And she's not covert. She kind of pulls you into her energy. Same thing, Moon Scorpio. So you might not normally be somebody who's using drugs, but on this night, some friends have some whatever their stash is, and you might be compelled or tempted. Scorpio's temptation, and it's things we don't want others to see. It's seduction. So you might be a family man who goes to church every Sunday and has for 20 years, and you're out with some company function on a night that's Scorpio around men and women who are scorpionic, and you might do something taboo that you've never done before, that you would die if your family or your congregation knew. That's the kind of energy Scorpio is. So because Scorpio and Capricorn are such good friends, and these make good marriages and good friendships, and they do have an affinity for each other, the good part of this is if you've mastered your Scorpio and Scorpio's about eliminating. Like I said, it involves the excretory processes. So if you've gone into psychotherapy and you've been open and not hiding childhood trauma or family crises or murder or my father did this or it can be the most horrible things. The worst parts of human nature are these Scorpio tendencies, these psychopathologies that people are very ashamed of and don't want other people to know that you might have family members that have done really sick and twisted and perverse things. They could have happened to you when you were helpless in a marriage or as a child. And it's about obsession and compulsion, it's addiction. The good part of it, when you've gone through the transformation, because Pluto is about transforming that dirty ugly. Remember in the last video when I talked about Libra, who wants more than anything to share and care, wants liberty and justice? I told you in a former video how Pluto is a bit of a crucible looking symbol because the fires of hell burn off sin so that the soul is again purified in its natural God-given state. So the good thing about Pluto, when it's actualized, when you've gone through that therapy, when you've been restructured and reconditioned and you've repented and you're now contrite, you've confessed your sins, you've paid your dues, you've honored the victims and paid some kind of penance for the wrong that you've done. Or, I mean, you can be put in prison because your crimes were so horrible, and there you'll live the rest of your life and you'll deal with more hell in the afterlife. However, on the 13th, this actualized Mars in Capricorn, Pluto in Capricorn, Jupiter in Capricorn, the South Node, your past karmic debts, and what else? Saturn in Capricorn, ruler, Mr. Scrooge himself, who it can also be about a death of something. They're in a trine to Uranus. So all of a sudden, out of the blue, maybe because it's Lent, maybe because you finally got yourself to church, maybe you finally had a good confession, maybe you finally realized it's time for you to grow up and admit your mistakes and get on your knees and be sorry for the hurtful things that you've done. Maybe you finally can forgive those who trespassed against us. We're supposed to forgive. So that's the good thing about the 13th. While the 12th has this dangerous energy overnight, so all of you who work the night shift, police officers, nurses, people who work in jails, people who work for the public at large overnight, in emergency rooms and hospitals, this is going to be a very tricky and hard night. Make sure that you're rested and on your highest awareness. It's going to be a hard night. We're going to hear a lot of sirens. There are going to be a lot of ambulances, and it's not good. I also expect crashes and aviation problems, bigger fires, and more terrorism on this night. On the 13th, the energy used productively is so powerful. The moon Scorpio is there with these, it's time to rectify our wrongs attitude. And yeah, it's Friday the 13th. Some cultures consider 13 a lucky number, like my Italian culture. So, again, some of the scorpionic dark things, and think about how black everybody gets at Halloween, how masked people are, which I hate that holiday, by the way. My daughters all love it. I've hated it since I was a little child and hate masks in general. Um, in Venice, I felt the haunting when I was there of these shops that had all the masks for what's called Carnivale, which is like our Fat Tuesday, or this big celebration before we enter the Lenten season, and it haunts me. So maybe in some kind of past life, something happened because I've hated it. I mean, hate it. In the pit of my stomach, I hate it. And it creeped me out when I was in Venice. While I could appreciate the mastery involved in the artistic creation of these masks that are divine, I don't like anything that's like that. And I am not the Christian who goes to whip it up at Fat Tuesday. Actually, I hated when I visited New Orleans. I could feel things there that really bothered me. I don't like that city at all. And my day is not Halloween, it's All Saints Day, the very next day. I mean, to each their own, and everyone's different. We all have soul experiences and karmic memories. And so on the 13th, I encourage you to take off your glasses, dress in white, get rid of your black clothes and your secrets. You're only as sick as your secrets. One of the best sayings ever. It's time to grow up, forgive those that have trespassed against us, and live out in the open, in the light of day. No need to hide anything, to cover up anything. If things were done unto you, you're not the person who's supposed to be ashamed. You don't have to hide or hold any shame. You didn't do the wrong. Someone transgressed you. Somebody raped you. Somebody hurt you. Somebody kidnapped you. This isn't your shame to hold. This isn't your fault. If you were a child, it is not your fault. If somebody betrayed your family and called you into that betrayal, it's not your fault. You were innocent, and maybe you were too naive. Um, but if you're purposefully doing drugs, then it is your fault. If you're purposefully stealing from other people, including their partners, it is your fault. And it's time for you to have a come to Jesus meeting. That's no way to live. And you don't get away with it. Believe me, you don't get away with it. So on the 13th, the moon is sextiling Mars, so you're going to have a lot of energy. She's trining Neptune. So this can be, it is, and right now Neptune is sextiling Jupiter. And this is very holy, heavenly energy. And while we're in Lent, go to church on the 13th. Get on your knees and pray. Ask somebody for help. Go call a therapist. Get rid of these things. Pluto's about regeneration and eliminating the hell and the darkness and the secrecy and the shame. Get rid of it. That's what all this delicious energy is for. The moon's trining the sun. So your heavenly father and heavenly mother are giving you all the power that you need to make these changes. Don't be ashamed if you've somehow fallen into addiction. There's no shame attached to that when you choose to do better and go get help. The moon is sextile Pluto, and this is powerful, emotional change. So, the moon is overnight on the 13th and all this good energy and until 7 o'clock in the morning. So, from the 12th and the 13th, I encourage you to take a good look at how black and dark and hidden and secretive you've been and make a choice not to be like that anymore. Thank you so much. The biggest key to health and happiness, the biggest key, I should say, for health that we all need is happiness. And if you're chain smoking and drinking after work every day or before work every day, there's something really wrong. And if you're sneaking things and hiding things and going behind other people's backs in Scorpio fashion, it's time for you to change those things. So I'm Lori from 3 Keys Astrology. Don't be ashamed. We all have family secrets and everybody's got problems. People, since the beginning of time, have hidden these parts of themselves. So I pray with all my heart and soul that you get out of the dark and come into the light and lift your spirits. Get up in the morning. Don't be a night person. It's sleeping your life away and not being awake. So with that, I leave you and hope that you Scorpios can connect to that pain and suffering and release it once and for all, to forgive those that have transgressed you, and know that you're not God. You don't have to be covert and hitting. You don't have to hold on to vengeance. You don't have to dream about doing something horrible to somebody that hurt you. God's got this. God's got this. It's not up to you. So take care. Be on guard on the 12th. Be smart if you have to be out at nighttime and make better choices. Bye for now.